Oscar Piastri suffered from a rather unusual weekend in Baku, where his mistakes proved very costly. A DNF following a qualifying crash suggested that Piastri is feeling the pressure not just from Norris but perhaps even from Verstappen, who after 2 consecutive wins seems to be sneaking into the fight between the McLaren drivers. But did Baku show that Piastri is still far from the finished article? And more importantly, can he hold on to his lead with 7 races and 3 sprint events remaining? It's safe to say that Baku was a chaotic weekend for much of the grid, but nothing topped the disaster Piastri suffered on the opening lap. After a jump start that triggered anti-stall and earned him a 5-second penalty, he crashed at turn 5. With his race over from lap 1, all eyes turned to Norris to see how much he could close the gap. Luckily for Oscar, Lando was far from perfect. He finished exactly where he started, in P7. What could have been a reduced 6-point lead into Singapore instead became another comfortable 25-point margin for Piastri. But there's another factor he must worry about now: Max Verstappen. Like it or not, the championship fight isn't over. From his last 2 performances, the Red Bull driver clearly has the momentum. The car feels much better, and the 4-time world champion is set to be a thorn in both Piastri and Norris's side for the rest of the season. That's why Piastri's Baku mistakes could prove very costly in the final 7 races, especially with 24 sprint race points still up for grabs. If there's one lesson from Baku, it's that Piastri is showing cracks under pressure. We've often criticized Norris fairly for failing to capitalize on key moments, but Oscar has now shown he's prone to mistakes as well. The problem is that he cannot afford another weekend like this, because he can't always rely on his teammate also struggling. Reflecting on the race, Oscar admitted, "The crash was certainly not my finest moment. I just anticipated the start too much, a silly, simple error. With the crash, I didn't anticipate the dirty air the way I should have. Clearly, I went into the corner too hot. The grip level was low, but I should know that. I'm not blaming anything other than myself. I just didn't make the judgment calls I needed to at the right time. And that's obviously disappointing." Mistakes can happen, but it was unusual for Piastri to commit 2 in the same weekend: a crash in qualifying and then the jump start that ended with an amateurish crash at turn 5. For a driver who has shown resilience all season, this was a rare dip in form. Team principal Andrea Stella defended his driver. "Weekends like this can happen in a season. So far, Oscar has been the most solid driver in the 2025 campaign, and a one-off race is understandable. These are the moments where you learn the most." After Baku, the championship battle looks far more interesting. Piastri's lead over Verstappen dropped to 69 points. That may seem too much for a realistic 3-way fight, but this is Max Verstappen we're talking about. He has been ruthless whenever given the chance, something Piastri cannot say about Norris. Stella himself was clear. Red Bull is a very serious contender for race wins and the Drivers' Championship. Is Verstappen back in contention with 224 points left on the table? Yes. Red Bull's upgrades in Monza appear to have worked. And with Yuki Tsunoda finishing P6, his best result for the team, the car finally seems to be competitive again. Verstappen, cautious but optimistic, said, "The last 2 weekends have been really positive for us. Both were low downforce tracks, so we'll see how we perform on high downforce circuits. For now, we're enjoying the moment, great execution from everyone. We'll see what happens at the next race." This only increases the pressure on Piastri. He cannot afford the same mistakes again, especially not in Singapore, where McLaren is expected to be strong. But Ferrari and Verstappen will also be in the mix, and with McLaren's intense intra-team rivalry, a crash between Piastri and Norris is always a possibility. So, will Piastri's Baku disaster come back to haunt him later in the season? And more importantly, is Max Verstappen true? These are the moments where you learn the most. After Baku, the championship battle looks far more interesting. Piastri's lead over Verstappen dropped to 69 points. That may seem too much for a realistic 3-way fight, but this is Max Verstappen we're talking about. He has been ruthless whenever given the chance, something Piastri cannot say about Norris. Stella himself was clear. Red Bull is a very serious contender for race wins and the Drivers' Championship. Is truly back in the championship fight despite the nearly 70-point gap? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.